over. Doesn't even look. I'm here. Molly? Oh, hello, Mrs. Scott. Molly, what are you doing here? How did you know I was here? Did you speak with my brother? Yes. Just dreadful out there. Just take these wet things off. How are you, Mrs. Scott? Molly, this is really above and beyond the call of duty. There was no reason for you to drive all the way out here just to see how I was. Oh, I couldn't let you and Julia be here alone. That just wouldn't be right. We are just fine. Julia happens to be sound asleep, and... Molly, for myself, I came out here to be alone. I would greatly appreciate your driving back to the city. I do hope you understand. No, I just can't leave, Mrs. Scott. I don't mean a second. Well, I just had to come here. It's very important that I'm here now. All right. Why don't you sit down? I apologize for it being so dark. The electricity is off. Mrs. Scott, do you think it's a very good idea to be here alone? I mean, even with the phone working, it must be so depressing being here by yourself. What did you say about the phone? Oh, excuse me? How did you know the phone was working? Oh, isn't it? Well, it is now, but it wasn't when I got here. Mr. Swift said he would call the phone company from the airport. Oh, well, that was very nice of him. Yes, well, as a matter of fact, a little while ago, the phone rang, scared me half to death, because when I picked it up, there wasn't anybody. Molly, was that you? I did call, Mrs. Scott. I just called to find out if you were here. I didn't mean to frighten you. Well, it's just that I didn't know the phone was working, you know. Lord knows I didn't think the phone company would work that fast. Oh, they must have paid attention to Mr. Swift. Yeah, I guess so. Molly, the thing that kind of frightened me was... Well, if it was you on the phone, why didn't you answer me? Why didn't you say hello? Oh, I did answer. Didn't you hear me? No. Oh, well, you know, maybe the lines got mixed up. That used to happen all the time when I lived upstate with a dog. Somebody would call and I'd hear them. They wouldn't hear me. Yeah, I'm sure. Probably the storm. Oh, yes, it's very possible. It's dreadful out there. Oh, I'll just have to wait till it lets up to leave. Yeah, I guess so. Well, look, if that's the case, why don't you sit down, make yourself comfortable, and I'll try to get a fire going again. Oh, you don't need to do that. Well, how about a cup of tea? I did bring in some groceries, and I'm sure a nice hot cup of tea would feel good. Why don't you let me do that? I'd feel funny if you did it. I'm still your housekeeper. No, that is in a different house. I don't even know whose house this is. It used to be mine. Or at least I thought it was mine. Draper's, and then the Michaels moved into it. There was a lot of happiness here. I'm sure of that. Yeah, I'm sure of it, too. And a lot of sadness. Maybe it can be happy again. It's such a lovely place. Yeah. Yeah, excuse me, I'll just go get the tea. Oh, I just realized you were here before. When you came out here to visit Emily. Oh, yes, I was here before we knew who her husband really was. Why don't you just let me get the tea? Anything else you like with it? No. No, the tea will be just fine. And there are dishes in the kitchen. Oh, Mrs. Scott, does the stove work? The stove, yeah. Yes, it should. It's gas, fortunately.
Oh, that's fine. Now, just you sit here and relax, and I'll just take care of everything. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, of course I don't mind. I'm relieved you're not somebody calling from headquarters telling me I've got to come back to work.
I'm afraid it does concern your work, Derek. I just had a talk with Kelly about what happened tonight.
I thought you would have heard about that by now.
Kelly's well aware that he made a fool of himself by going to see Raven tonight, that it was just a crazy, wrong-headed impulse. I hope you realize that.
I do, Mike, I do. Unfortunately, Raven is not so forgiving. She was scared out of her wits.
She has nothing to fear from Kelly.
She doesn't see it quite that way, Mike. She knows the boy's been indicted for the murder of Elliot Dorn, and that there might well be other charges added on.
Will there be? I haven't been able to get an answer out of George Walling as to whether there will be other counts.
I haven't gotten an answer to that question yet either. But frankly, I think he'll be content to stick to the one charge. God knows that's enough.
Enough to cost him 20 years of his young life.
It's certainly not going to solve anything by intimidating a witness.
He wasn't doing that, Derek. He was just trying to find out why Raven was lying about it. Now, I know that's a biased opinion, but it's what Kelly told me, and I believe him.
Mike, I didn't have the boy arrested.
I know you didn't, and that's the reason for my calling. Not to argue about what happened, but to thank you.
Well, I saw no reason to make an issue out of it. There's enough on the slate against him now.
Especially if Raven decides to be a witness for the prosecution. Anyway, Derek, thank you very much. I appreciate your leniency with our nephew.
Mike, I'm really sorry about all this.
Yeah.
So am I. Just tell him to keep away from Raven from now on, because I don't think I'll be able to get him off the hook again.
I assure you, he will never talk to her again, but that doesn't mean that I won't. Good night, Derek.
Did you mean that?
About talking to Raven?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? It might be very informative.
Well, I hope so, Mike, because she could turn out to be the most important witness for the prosecution.
She will be, if the jury believes it. Do you happen to know her number?
No, but I'm sure we have it in the book. Here we are.
Huh. No answer. Guess she's not home.
Nobody's home tonight. I don't understand. It's the worst night of the year and everybody's out.
Well, we're safe at home anyway.
It is true, though, isn't it? I mean, Nicole is in the hospital. So is Jody. April's out at the house in Oakdale, and who knows where Draper is.
Well, he may have decided to stay with Cliff until this thing is resolved.
If it's resolved, oh, honey, it's so messy. I mean, really, they have a beautiful family, a lovely apartment, and they're living apart because of...
Because of something you don't want to discuss.
Oh, that's a bad one, huh?
You've never been afraid of a little thunder and lightning?
I am afraid. But I don't know of what.
You think. Draper might have gone out to Oakdale just to be with April.
Oh, I certainly hope so.
In fact, she may have managed to get her phones working by now. Why don't you give her a call?
Well, do you think it might be a little late for that?
Well, I was thinking it was kind of close to bedtime.
Yeah?
But I think you'll sleep better if you see that she's okay.
I'll give it a try.
With any luck, Draper will answer.
Oh, if only. Hello?
Hello. Oh, April. Hi, it's Nancy.
Oh. Hello, Nancy. Boy, am I glad to know the phone's working again. It rang earlier, and I couldn't hear a thing.
Well, I can hear
you fine. Listen, I'm sorry to be calling at such a late hour, but I was anxious to know that you're all right.
I'm fine, really. As a matter of fact, I have company.
Oh,
Molly Sherwood didn't like the idea of Julie and me being out here all by ourselves and just took the trip out to see how we were doing.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. At least you have somebody around.
Not for long, Nancy. I told her she couldn't stay. I don't want anyone here. I don't need anyone. Just one of those times when you want to be alone.
well, I'm not sure that being alone is really all that helpful.
Sometimes it does help. This happens to be one of those times for me anyway. Oh, listen, it's Julia. The phone must have awakened her.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, please. It's not your fault, and I really do appreciate
For the baby, Miss?
Excuse me. No, Molly, I'll see to her. Nancy, look, I'll give you a call tomorrow, okay?
That's Mrs. Carr, isn't it? Would you mind if I said hello to her? Thank you.
Sure. I'm coming. Okay.
Mrs. Carr, it's Molly.
Hello, Molly. It was very thoughtful of you to be out there for a while.
Oh, well, I was worried about Mrs. Scott. Frankly, now that I'm here, I'm more worried than ever.
Why? Doesn't she seem all right to you?
No, she doesn't, not at all. She is so depressed. I've never seen her like this. It's not like her at all.
Well, she sounded perfectly normal.
Oh, well, I think she was putting on an act for your benefit.
But if you could just see the way she looks. She walks around here as if she's in a trance. She only talks about one thing, Mrs. Carr, that life really isn't worth living.
What?
I mean, she's got me so scared.
I don't want to go, but she is insisting that I leave. Do you think that means anything?
Well, she said that she just wants to be alone.
But to do what, Mrs. Carr? That's what worries me.
Draper. How you doing? I'm fine, Cliff.
Sorry about the couch being so small. It used to be bigger, but I washed it and it shrunk.
The couch is fine, thanks.
You sure you're comfortable? I mean, I feel guilty. You're paying half the rent. You got a right to be comfortable.
No, Cliff, come on, don't feel any guilt. I'm fine. I'm going to be okay.
You know, I don't get this. I mean, you're welcome to stay here if you want, but you said that April's not at the penthouse. Why don't you go there? What's the sense?
What's the sense? I don't know. I guess there is no sense. Just the way things work out sometimes, I guess.
Oh, I got an idea. If you like it here, I'll go to the penthouse.
Well, I don't think we want to start playing musical apartments, do we?
I don't know. I want to live in a penthouse. Want some pretzels?
No, thanks.
Cold pizza?
No. She's probably at her brother's house.
Well, why don't you call her?
She was there.
What do you mean, was?
I mean, I don't know where she is.
Oh, you think she's at the penthouse?
Well, that's the point. I went by and I saw her. I told her it was crazy for her to move out of the penthouse. I was the one that should get out.
Well, then look, if she's at the penthouse...
Cliff, I didn't say she was at the penthouse. Look, I appreciate your help, Cliff, but I don't want to talk about it.
Fine, sure. You know, just keep my mouth shut. Mind my own business. Good night.
Good night. Cliff, I don't know where she is. She's not at the penthouse. She's not at Miles. She's gone.
What do you mean, gone? You think she left town or something?
I don't know. She could be here. She could be on a plane to New York with my daughter and my best friend.
Logan?
Logan was in town. I mean, he had some business to take care of. Now he's gone, and so is my wife and my daughter.
Oh, just a minute, Draper. I don't believe what you're telling me.
I don't want to believe it either, Cliff, but that's what I was told.
Look, I'm sorry. And don't worry about the couch being smaller. I'm not going to get any sleep anyway.
Well, Julia's asleep again. I think she just wanted to make sure I was nearby.
Oh, I'm sure that was all. Just won't let out.
What happened to the tea?
Well, the water isn't boiling yet. Pilot light was out. I had to find a match, and it wasn't easy in the dark.
Oh, yeah.
It'll just be a minute. Mrs. Scott, do you feel strange here?
Why should I? I lived here for almost a year.
Yes, but it was also their house. I think I'd be very disturbed if I knew my husband had another life in this same room.
I was prepared for that when I decided to come out here.
Well, it just seems to me the last place in the world you want to be.
I had my reasons.
Did you expect to find something?
I don't know. The last thing I expected to find was this.
Oh, what is it?
Oh, a picture. Emily and Draper together. Surprised she left it here. She seemed so intent about keeping all their mementos of their life together.
May I?
Be my guest. Burn it if you like.
She loves him very much, her husband.
She loved a fantasy. Someone she created because the person she loved does not exist.
Who really knows where love begins?
Question is, where does it end?
Has your love ended, Mrs. Scott? I'm sorry to put it that way, but you and Mr. Scott aren't living together, so it seems reasonable that one could assume that things have changed.
Our feelings haven't changed, Molly. It's just a situation. We happen to have a problem that we have not solved yet. That's all it is.
You mean Emily?
Do you know something? I'm not even so sure Emily's telling the truth.
What do you mean?
Well, Draper remembers very little of what his life was like when he lived here with Emily, but he feels that it wasn't quite the life that Emily describes. You see, he doesn't believe that they were intimate.
How could you possibly believe that? But you know that Emily is pregnant. You know that only Mr. Scott could possibly be the father. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but I think Mr. Scott's memory faded just when he wanted it to. For your sake, Emily loved her husband so much that she tried to take her life when she lost him. Doesn't that prove something?
Maybe. But right now, just forget I said anything, all right? Because maybe it's just my wishful thinking. Maybe it's my fantasy.
Well, it's reality, Mrs. Scott, and you'll just have to learn to live with it.
Well, I can't. Okay? I can't live with it.
Oh, no, you're not thinking of... Oh, you can't. You just... You can't.
I can't what?
You... Is that why you came here all by yourself? You're not thinking of... doing what Emily wanted to do? Taking your own life?
You're crazy. Where did you get an idea like that? Because I have no such intention. Why should I?
But if your marriage ends...
Even if my marriage does end, I have a little girl upstairs who needs me, and aside from all of that, I want to live.
But if you lose the man you love...
Oh, I have not lost Draper, and as long as the two of us love each other, we've lost nothing.
Are you sure that he still loves you?
What did you say?
Are you sure that the reason he hasn't pushed Emily out of his life is because he loves her?
Draper does not love Emily. Do you hear me? He feels responsible to her because he is the father of her baby. That is the only reason.
All right, all right. Of course you would know.
Oh, God. Did you come all the way out here because you thought I was going to kill myself?
I'm afraid a lot of people might think that, Mrs. Scott.
Well, that's ridiculous. Who in the world would think I would bring my little girl here if that was my intention?
Well, people in your frame of mind don't usually think very clearly now, do they?
Ooh, the water's boiling.
Oh, yes. I'll just go and fix the tea.
After you've had your tea, Molly, you are going to have to leave.
Oh, yes, of course, Mrs. Scott. Just hope this works more quickly than it did for the other Mrs. Scott.
Left Brain, Right Brain, a special film on the nature of things with David Suzuki, Wednesday nights on CBC.
Hello, I'm Harry Brown. If the weekly shopping trip is giving you the blues, then stay tuned for Take 30 and see how Canadians in the Arctic cope with shopping only once a year. Cheer up. Take 30's next.